I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Renee.
Welcome back to Goodness and Gracious.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Hello.
I'm still going to do it.
So I don't know about you, Renee, but March is one of my favorite months. Do you like March?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the start of spring,
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, it always, they used to say that it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. I say
It's not like that
it
this year.
comes in like a lion and goes out like a lion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the weather's changing.
I mean, I love spring, but
I don't.
I like fall.
I don't.
No?
I'm not a big spring fan.
My tulip thingies are already coming
So
up,
that's
sprouting,
nice.
and it's so pretty to see.
That's nice. I mean, I do like March. I don't care for spring because I like March because it's usually when we see the first bit of the warmth poking through. So we get just a little bit. But to be honest with you, I could really do without all the rain and the muck.
Well,
The mud,
yeah,
the muck.
but the rain brings the pretty flowers and the gardens that grow.
Yeah,
and
but
there's a message in that, Christine.
I know.
We need the rain.
I know. Flowers grow in the valley. I get it. And I'm really glad.
Anyway,
Yeah, I'm just not a
Back to the thought.
big spring fan.
okay. Shame
I
on
could
you.
go from fall to Christmas, then to New Year's, and then a hint of the warmth of March, and then bam, summer. Let's do that.
I don't like the heat.
I'm going to put my order into God.
Oh, because you have a lot of pulls. Is that what you're saying?
Do you think that he's going to?
No.
He's going to, okay.
We're automatically going to have spring, whether you like it or
Yeah,
not.
he's going to be like, oh, so you don't want this, so let's just do this.
And then we're going to have spring a whole lot longer because you don't want it. I love 60s and 70s. It's like my perfect. I love it.
So that's fine. It's just the rain that I have. That's like the mud. And I don't even, like, the rain is fine, but I just don't like the muck. I just can't stand it.
Well, it'll be all right.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just dive right in. How's that?
Okay.
So let me ask you, have you ever been in a situation where it was becoming evident that you were not adequately prepared to handle what was happening?
Always.
Life, everyday life.
Everyday life,
now.
yes.
Okay. Well, it could be that it is self-inflicted, meaning you got yourself into this conundrum and you hadn't properly counted up the cost before you started it. It could be that it's no fault of your own. And that you're just collateral damage. Maybe you are at least partly to blame, and you are now noticing that something has gotten way off track. Okay. So if it is one of these scenarios or something similar to it, I didn't cover everything, we inevitably start to discover that our abilities, our wisdom, our knowledge, and in the cases that we're going to talk about today, your pre-existing closeness to God just isn't enough to get you through this valley. I think we all come to that point, you know what I'm saying, where you realize that it's just not adequate.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if our grandkids can appreciate leveling up in a video game. I don't know. Do they still do that? Leveling up in a video game? I would have to assume that they would, but
Mario, you do, don't you?
I would think. But I don't know. I just feel like, we're old and maybe they don't appreciate it like we
Listen,
do.
the games I play on my iPad and my phone, I still level up.
I still level up? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I gave up games on my phone.
Well, I did, but I'm bringing a couple back. I feel like it's okay.
They came back for a comeback?
Yeah.
So the fact is, if you desire to get closer to God, to become more and more like Him, you will need to level up. And that's just not one time. It's,
Always.
you're just
Continuous.
Yes. So I was not aware that I was in need of a leveling up. I had no clue. I guess it's more accurate to say that I didn't know what I was missing. It was just something. It was time for my closeness with God to go to that next level. And for the last several months, I've had this overwhelming desire to spend more time in prayer and to discover why I seem to lack in some areas. And patience is one of the major ones that I was lacking in.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that Bruno today.
Oh, yay.
So to be Amish, to be Amish, you have to go to Der Dutchman and you have to order your... We did this yesterday.
Sampler?
So we had to order the sampler.
Bring half home?
Yeah, bring half home and make sure that you put extra gravy on it.
Exactly.
So to be honest, not so much Amish, prayer and patience has been the theme that I feel that the Lord is leading us to. But I still felt as if that wasn't the whole story. Like I didn't have all the pieces to the puzzle. So it took me a while to actually be able to sit down and start writing, for this podcast. I said it over and over, patience and prayer, prayer and patience, patience in prayer, prayer in patience. No matter how I spun it, I felt that he was going to tell me just a bit more. I just had to do that whole lean in for it. What are you trying to tell me, God? Then it came in a difficult time, in a difficult situation, surrender. I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. So now I have surrendered things to God before, but at this place in my life, this is a different kind of surrender. And this is kind of where I feel like I have to do a level up. In a few months, I will have been a Christian for 23 years. And what a journey it has been. He gets sweeter and sweeter every day, doesn't he? I've done many things in his name. I haven't done the best job representing him, but I am so thankful that he lets me love him. He just lets me do that. At almost 23 years of serving him, I feel he is so graciously beckoning me to level up. It's time to take me to the next level. And let me tell you, I am chasing after that with all that I have, every bit of it.
All that am I.
All that, yep.
All that am I.
All that, yep. All that am I that I have. There are some things over the years that have been easier to surrender. Yeah. I feel that is how I made it this far. Those things were, they felt like they were easy to surrender. Full disclosure, I am that mom that forced her kids to help with the chores like loading the dishwasher, cringing at the placement of every single dish, knowing full well that I would appease my flesh by going back and rearranging them myself before I started that dishwasher. I have been a handler all my life. I think it has to do with some things from my childhood. But that's for another podcast for another time. This surrender is different. It's the real kind. I feel like it's like my surrender hasn't been fake, but it was just like the test. It's like the practice test. And by 23 years of being a Christian, I feel like it's been a practice test. Yeah. And now it's time for the real kind. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. Sometimes there are issues of life that you cannot be the handler of. I'm just like, is that even a thing? Like what? Like there's things that I can't be a handler of? Sometimes you must leave those things in the care of someone being capital S, else. But it's much more than that. At least it has been for me. I can probably say that, Renee, you're kind of in the same boat as with surrender. Like I think it's a thing that God's been working on all of us. So
daily.
Yes. I guess the fact that it's so much more, that's the beauty of it. It has to be so much more than what it's been for it to be a level up. I've surrendered things to him. At least I thought I was succeeding in that. And I probably was to a degree. I've even gone as far as to pray about those things that I have surrendered to him, So this new character has stepped on the scene for me. I thought that I was, succeeding in this. Patience. So never in almost 23 years of being a Christian has my lack of these three things, the surrender, the prayer, and the patience, been so evident to me. Like I've never realized, I put these three things together, how much I have to say, wow.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Why now? And why now is it that I'm seeing these is because just life, the recent events of life have taken me to the place where I can finally see that he uses every single thing in our life. Every single thing. There's nothing that he wastes. He uses every single thing. And I think that there comes a time in every Christian's life where Romans 8:28 becomes more than just an overused verse in the mouths of some very well-meaning Christians. I think, and I came up with this on my own, it's where the rubber meets the Romans road, so to speak. Like, I know. I was like, this is good stuff, God. Thank you. So let's take a look.
All right, Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose.
It's great.
I think of that verse all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, how many times have you used this verse on someone? How many times have you used it on yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's such a good verse. It's short, simple, and seems to be easily understandable. Is it, though? What about the things that you are required to surrender that don't seem to be working any kind of good, especially my good, especially your good? Maybe you aren't even focused on you, but someone you love. How about those things? Those things, are they working together for the good? The things that you feel, if you could just rearrange how God was handling them, rearrange those dishes, you would feel better when you close that dishwasher door, you know?
See, I don't have no kids at home. Well, I kind of do, but I have a big kid, you know, and I'm constantly, he just don't know. I go in here and rearrange. I'm like, I know I can fit more in this dishwasher.
Yeah. I do certain things like that to him. That's what I'm saying is we have done those types of things. We laugh at it and it's funny, but like we're a handler.
Yeah.
We're handling this. We're gonna take care of this, and there shouldn't be really anything that's out of our reach, out of our scope of handling. But God says if you want to level up, you can't handle this. You have to take your hands off of it. You don't even have the ability to do that. Sometimes we surrender, then we pray, and as soon as we check those boxes, we say, okay, things will be better now.
Yeah.
But
not always.
They're not better, you know, not even close. And that's when we cue in patience. So now with patience, adding that in, we're getting somewhere. And I'm convinced that in order to appreciate Romans 8:28, I mean really appreciate it, not just read it and say it's a good verse, because it is a good verse. And I think that you can love God and say that it's a really good verse and still not fully appreciate Romans 8:28. So we have to appreciate it for the treasure that it is. You have to walk through 2 Corinthians 12, round about verse 7b through verse 10 to start appreciating Romans 8:28.
So 2 Corinthians 12, 7b through 10, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I get rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Am I strong?
Am I as strong?
Am I as strong?
Am I as strong? I mean, honestly,
I almost had it.
Yes, you did. But no, you did really good. I thought you did really good. As I was typing this, I'm like, oh, please don't let there be any mistakes. It's inevitable. I could read it, and still a mistake.
It is what it is.
So Paul asked God 3 times. We just had this lesson in Sunday school. We just discussed it in discipleship. And so it's like really fresh in my mind. He asked God 3 times to remove what was hindering him, what was painful to him. How many times have you asked for things to be removed?
Plenty.
Recently.
Yeah, plenty.
He was certain that if he could just not have to focus on this thorn, and we don't know what that thorn was, he could be much more useful to God. I think that makes perfect sense. Paul's looking at it like, I could be much more useful to you, God, if you would just remove this thorn in my flesh, which we don't know what the thorn was. 3 times he asked him. Now, the thorn was depleting his strength and slowing him down. Okay. I really believe that that's what he was thinking. Or was it? There's so many things that we want to rush through because they are so painful.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Always
I'm like,
for me.
let's just get through this really quick. Please, God, I'll learn really, really quick. Let's just get through it. And we keep repeating Romans 8:28 to ourselves. But under our breath, we are coaching God to hurry this along. You know, we're like, God.
It's about every trial you get into.
Yeah.
It's like, Lord, just take this from me.
Yes.
And that's not the way it's supposed
That's
to
our
be.
hurrying along. God, Romans 8:28.
Like we know better than God.
Right. Exactly. That is exactly.
But how
what
can
I'm
He
saying.
work it for our good
Right.
if we are
Rushing it along?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not taking the time to appreciate. We're not letting Him use it to get us to that next point where we need to, it'll show us that we're closer to Him when we get to the end of it. So all the while, He just wants us to appreciate, wants us to see that in the surrender, in the prayer, and in the patience lies the power, the level up. Because His grace is sufficient. Sufficient for what? It's just sufficient. He says, I am. Well, who is, who is I am? I am, it's sufficient. It's end of story. Because His grace is sufficient, this frees us to glory in all things, especially our infirmities, because this is what is required for the power of Christ to rest upon me. That's what it says. The verse said it. I didn't say it. It seems a bit out of order. It seems a bit unconventional. And it is. Because guess what? His ways are not our ways.
No.
And our ways are not His ways.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Sometimes there are multiple ways to unlock something. Okay. My car has an app that I can use to unlock it. I can do that from anywhere. I can also use the key fob to unlock it. As a third method, if I have my key on my person, so it's in my pocket, I can hit a button on the handle to unlock it. There are not multiple ways to unlock this power of Christ. It takes the key of glorying in our infirmities. That's a hard swallow.
Yeah.
For me. By the grace of God, I am able to take another look at these infirmities. Like He's been so good to us. I've been able to take a look at these infirmities that have been going on, that I am experiencing. And by His mercy, I'm able to see the power that is coming from surrender, prayer, and patience. And that is not saying that I've attained.
Yeah.
I'm just saying at 23 years old, or 23 years, yeah, as a Christian, 23 years old, at 23 years of being saved, it's taken this long. I am finally seeing the meat. And isn't it, I don't know. We look at things as tragedy. I mean, the ones that we love there's been so much tragedy in the last year, even. And we look at those things and we think, how unfair. I mean, we may not say it out loud, but someplace in our heart we may say, this is unfair. But that's not what He's saying. He's saying we need to glory in these. If we look back at the verse, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecution, in distresses for Christ's sake.
That's what the Bible says, but do we?
I know. I want to be that.
Yeah.
Renee, I want to be that. I want to be that, and I want to show other people that they can be that too, because I think that's what it's going to take. Have you ever discovered something and you're like, you want everybody around to see it? You're just like, that's what I'm like, let me look at this. Look at how cool this is, But are we there? So
I've not arrived.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. But I think that we are on that path.
Right.
We're not to arriving, because we'll never do that. We're on that path to see what that next level is going to mean for us, because really there's no other way. There's no other way to live. Like, you can't, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. He has given so much. He's taken us to this point, and we can't turn around. We're just going to have to go forward. And in that forward is going to be those infirmities. It's going to be, it is. And as a parent, we're like, we know what's best for our kids. Even when it hurts us to have to hurt them, or, keep them away from something or whatever, or push them through something. But he knows what's best for us. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the feature content for this week, this month, because we're not doing it every week. This song came to mind. It's Evan Kraft song, "Fight on My Knees." You've probably heard it before. One of the lines that I really, really like, he says, I find all that I need when I'm when I'm on my knees, I'm finding everything that I need. I don't need anything else. It's all there. And so I take a gander at that.
Well, we all say we want to be Christ-like, but do we? Because what's it going to take?
The one that we've made up here.
That's exactly what. It's not a Burger King here. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it your way.
No.
Christ says one way, Yep.
And I think that's the maturing, though, is that as you mature, you realize that you don't really want it your way. Because when you think about your way, you're like, now it just seems, like it's cheap. It's a cheap knockoff to what I could actually have. And only he can do that. Only he can bring you to the place where he shows you it's time for you to take this to the next level, and give you the desire to take it to the next level and get you there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing it all. We just have to want it. You know what I'm saying? We have to want him to work in our lives.
Where's your heart's desire?
Right. Exactly. So I hope that was a help. This is just real. This is me talking to me. So this podcast, record it. I'll turn it back on. I listen to it. I'm like, oh, that's some good stuff. I'll have to take that into consideration.
So next time you find yourself in an infirmity,
yes,
play this podcast.
Yes, exactly. I find that infirmity podcast.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time. See ya.